Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today is Thursday, March 29th, and we are joining you from the Ted Rogers School of Management at Ryerson University, right downtown Toronto. My name is Kelly Wheatley, and I am a virtual recruitment officer here at Ryerson University. And I'm joined today by some absolute experts on retail management. We have the manager of program design, Sean, who's standing off to the side here, ready to make his debut in just a few moments. And we're joined by two fantastic students, Jacqueline and Mary, who are going to tell you just a little bit about their experiences in the retail program as well as co-op. We understand that right now it's a really interesting time because you're thinking about offers you may have received from Ryerson and or other universities, and you're really just trying to weigh your options and see what's happening and what kind of experience you're looking for in university. So that's why we want to tell you a little bit about really what it's like on the inside, right, from both the faculty and the student perspective. So just really quickly, I want to get a sense of where everyone's at in the application process. So I'm just going to run this poll really fast. So if you wouldn't mind just reading what's on your screen and telling us where you're currently at in the application process. So if you haven't applied to retail management, if you have applied but you haven't received a decision yet, if you've received an offer and you've received an offer and you're coming to Ryerson, oh my goodness, so far everybody who's joining us has received an offer. That is so exciting. Congratulations. That's absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited to see that, and I'm just going to share the results so you can see that everyone has received an offer who's currently online with us. So with that in mind, I am going to just give you a really, really brief tutorial of Zoom. So I'm sure you can see that, you're seeing our pictures, which is great. We're not going to be sharing any slides or anything. Today is just more of a conversation. But please feel free to adjust your screen as you see fit. And the most important thing that I want to draw your attention to is on the bottom. It's the Q&A feature. So you'll see a little stack of file folders. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to actually type them in and ask. That's part of the reason we're here, and we have the experts on staff. So if you'd like to submit a question, just click on that Q&A. It should pop up and you'll be able to type it in. If you'd like to ask something anonymously, you can do that as well by checking the box. So please submit your questions, sit back, relax, let us know what's on your mind about retail. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the manager of program design for retail management here at Ryerson. And I'm going to stay over, I'm sure you can see a little box that says Kelly, so I'm going to stay over managing some of the text chat as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them, and I'll do my best. And if there's something that I can't answer, or probably I'll just punt everything over to our experts because they're on hand today. So without further ado, please welcome the true expert, I believe, when it comes to retail management, who's going to facilitate some of the discussion today.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I just want to take a few minutes to introduce a little bit about our program, and then we're going to throw things over to our students because they're really the ones that I think you want to hear from, to hear about what it's like to be a student, what co-ops are like, what things are like in classes in TRSM. And I'll just start off with, since all of you have offers, that's great. I can tell you I'm a retail, or not a retail grad, but a Ryerson grad as well. And I won't tell you about back when I was young and got into university, but I had a number of offers from other universities that all came in before my Ryerson one. And I couldn't wait to get the Ryerson one. I was pretty nervous about whether it was going to come through or not, because we have some really unique programs. And Ryerson as a university overall, and certainly the things that we're doing here in TRSM are quite different than a lot of other universities you may have looked at. And so if you find yourself here next September, you can rest assured that you've made a really great choice, and one that will have you engaging with industry in different ways, engaging with other students, student groups that are retail focused, as well as if you're interested in getting involved with people across the campus. There's lots of great opportunities. But a little about the School of Retail. We're the only program that's a Bachelor of Commerce at a university in Canada that starts with a focus on retail right from year one. So what that means is that you are doing your BCom foundational courses along with looking at issues and trends in the retail industry and all the things that go into running a retail business, getting into things like buying and visual merchandising, looking at consumer goods or services industries. Some of our grads even go into things like retail banking, or things that you might not immediately associate with retail and service and customers. But really, we're all about anything to do with consumer engagement, consumer experiences. I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that we've done just this year some of our highlights in the last few months include things like our sector studies course in fashion had a field trip about 3 or 4 weeks ago to the head office and flagship location of Louis Vuitton, and met with it was a fifth generation, like great grandson of the founder of the company. Got to go and watch a presentation at the head office, and then a tour of the store location, and all the students received a little gift as well. And so that was lots of fun. Great example if you're thinking about apparel, fashion, accessories, luxury. Those angles of the business are certainly an area of interest to many of our students. On the flip side, we also had a field trip a week ago to Canadian Tire's Retail City, which is kind of their secret store where they plan out what the displays, and if there are any new technologies that might be integrating into their stores, and other sort of layouts and design ideas before rolling them out into retail or real operating stores. We also had yesterday our fourth-year students put on the first ever Retail Ideas Shop, which was meant to be a thought leadership series, but was developed from right within their fourth-year course. And what this did was worked with one of the zones here on campus called the Science and Discovery Zone, as well as the Fashion Zone, to bring together entrepreneurs that are working on different retail and fashion-oriented businesses, as well as some of the local entrepreneurs from the downtown Yonge business area, to talk about how things like artificial intelligence are going to impact the world of retail, both from a consumer perspective or shoppers, as well as on a staffing side and back end, from supply chain all the way down into the store. So that was a great example of a real student-run initiative that led to the creation of podcasts and blog posts, and again, bringing people from all different areas in to have roundtable sessions and presentations and come away with some ideas about what small and medium-sized retailers can do in the face of some of the great things that larger retailers are doing in the world of AI. We also just this past weekend held our first retail gala event that was hosted by the Retail Student Association, which is the course union for current retail students, as well as the Retail Alumni Association. And over 150 students and alumni attended at the Battersea Museum here in Toronto on Bloor Street. We had DJs. There was a booth for doing live Instagram stories off of an iPad. There were 3 or 4 guest speakers talking about issues in the industry and careers and opportunities to network, as well as check out all the great exhibits at the Battersea Museum. So that was lots of fun. And the last 2 things I'll mention are one is another industry partnership that we have in one of our elective courses that has involved the creation of a live case study that's actually a digital case study, so students can work on it from home. There's lots of great sort of multimedia and things that bring together a look at Red Bull and the energy drink category, partnering with Petro-Canada and all of their convenience stores at gas stations around the country, and really looks at how to look at that category strategically and think about what consumers are doing in terms of purchase and consumption of those types of beverages, and how a company like Red Bull could manage their category in association with a retail partner like Petro-Canada. And that's one of the things that I want to point out about our program, is that we look at retail in a big picture kind of way. So we've mentioned, Louis Vuitton and luxury and fashion. We've talked about Canadian Tire. We've talked about Red Bull and grocery and food. We mentioned a little bit about retail banking, shopping center management is one of the things that many of our alum get involved in, and even some consulting businesses and many other entrepreneurial endeavors and opportunities. So whatever the area of interest you have within the retail sector, there's probably a few courses and different industry projects and career and co-op opportunities that relate to many of those. So with that, I want to turn things over to our students, first to introduce themselves one at a time, and then we'll talk a little bit about their experiences here in the program.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm a 3rd-year retail management student in the co-op program.
And I'm Jacqueline as well. I'm in my 3rd year of the co-op retail program.
Great. And you guys both just completed 2 work terms, I guess, in the co-op program. Take a turn and tell us a little bit about what your role was, what the experience was like, and what did you learn from that?
Well, my first co-op term was at Adidas. So I worked there for 4 months last summer. And I was a merchandising intern there, and I really liked it. I was always interested in merchandising, so I learned a lot about the aspects of like analyzing the merchandise, but also showing it to buyers for different stores. So it was cool to be on the vendor side of things. And then in the fall, I did an internship at TJX Canada, where I was a merchandising assistant. So that was more on the retail side, where you worked with the buyers, just to see, like, to help them not you weren't the one figuring out like what products were in the stores, but you helped once they already ordered the products. You would write purchase orders, analyze what was selling, and turnover rate.
Great.
And I had the opportunity, actually, because for co-op you have different opportunities, so you could really, if it was up to you, you could try 4 different companies for your 4 different work terms. I actually had the opportunity to work for Staples for 8 months. So I spent my whole 8-month work term, but I got to try 2 different areas. So for the summer, I was working in store. So I got to see the management perspective, how to run a store, how to properly train and work with employees. And then after, for my second part of the work term, I moved on to the home office, where I worked as a category specialist for cell phone accessories. And again, a little similar to your role at TJX, we worked with the buyers. So alongside just replenishing orders, managing what, helping stores, what products people needed. And I even got the opportunity to work with planogrammers as well in my position. And I helped basically reflow our entire cell phone accessories. So that was really exciting for me, because I got to actually see my work in the actual physical stores.
Great. And so 3 different companies named there. Adidas, we actually had on campus a few years ago as part of our high school case competition. So if any of you participated in this year's competition, Adidas has been a great partner in different ways over the years. And one of our alum is currently the manager of digital and CRM there. So great, kind of a well-known brand that everyone knows, but some interesting opportunities that you might not think about. And excuse me. And TJX, they've got a really well-established kind of entry point into their buying and planning program, the PACE program. They've hired interns, co-ops, new grads throughout the years. We've even had some folks that have worked at TJX in the past teach some of our courses. So some really great and a great office space to work out of as well, right? I think the award-winning, really all designed with sustainability in mind, and great shared workspaces and that sort of thing. And Staples, I mean, as far as I know, this may have changed, but the last I heard, they were the number 2 e-commerce company in North America because of all of the B2B side, where they're selling directly to businesses and things.
Yeah, what most people don't know is actually Staples carries, like, I think over 300,000 different items online. So that's just things that you wouldn't necessarily assume, because you always picture them as like a brick and mortar store, but they're actually growing a lot as a company.
Absolutely. Great. So maybe tell us a little bit about, now that you're back in school, is there anything from this semester, or if you want to go back to a previous semester too, but anything that stands out as kind of really interesting that you've learned so far, or something that now that you've been in different co-op terms, you know, this is more real or relevant to me now that I'm learning about it, or just something that was kind of fun that you want to highlight?
Well, I think both of us were talking about applied retail research, the course we took last year and second year.
Was that with Mark last year?
Yeah, that was with Mark. So I personally didn't realize how much I would apply it in like my jobs that we did, because the research really is the basis for what products you have in the store, and like how you're marketing to people. Like, that will help you answer all of your questions. So I think that was something that was really awesome for me, that I could understand it and then apply it when I actually got into my co-op roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see similarities even with our buying courses and operations courses that we're seeing like that, being in the store and then being in the home office. I definitely got to apply theories that we definitely learned in class and see it directly and say, oh, this is why we're learning this, because people are using this out in the workplace.
So let's step back to that for a second, because one of the things that sometimes people will think about retail and think, okay, great, I'm going to be selling socks in a store, and and that's kind of all there is to it. And clearly, you've already talked about a bunch of different things that go much beyond that. But having spent 4 months working in store and then 4 months in the office, can you talk about some of the things that being in the office and having that experience with customers or other staff in the store or things like that, did that help at all, so that you don't many of you may have had the experience of working in a store and saying, those people in head office don't know what they're doing, because here's what we're dealing with every day. What was that like, that sort of split?
I definitely saw the connection between the two, and even just comparing myself to other co-op students that were in the home office as well that hadn't done those previous 4 months at the store, I just kind of got to see the big picture of it all, because basically what the people at home office do, it's all to help the people in the store. They're one continuous team. It's a more like a unit than they are separate. So to just be able to see, like, I understood the concepts that were transferred directly.
Yeah, great. All right. Anything else that you want to highlight from classes? What are some of the things that you're taking right now? Research and buying were a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. Anything this semester that stands out, even an elective or something?
Well, you talked about the retail city trip. Mm-hmm. We actually went on that, so that was for visual merchandising. I think that class is really interesting because a lot of like what we did on our jobs was like getting the merchandise out, but we never saw, I guess, like the end result of how they display it in the stores and how that really affects the sales as well. So I find that course really interesting, just to know the next steps after merchandising, from getting it from the vendor into the store and then to the customer. And
you meant, one of you, I think you mentioned planograms earlier, right? So you're working on a planogram project in that class as well, right? And that's I didn't mention it off the top, but this year we've just renewed for this has been 15 years now that we've had the JDA space planning software in the course. It's the only school in Canada that has this software, but it's pretty much an industry standard in terms of laying out where products go on shelves, planning, how quickly they turn over to try and think about the impact on labor and how frequently you're restocking shelves, as well as how you're positioning things to sell them and so on. In relation to Canadian Tire, just last week I was looking at our list of alum, and we have, I think it's 15, we have more than 15 alum, but 15 alum that all have roles that are related to space planning or category management just at Canadian Tire. And not only, but certainly, partially because of experience with things like those kinds of tools. Any others that you wanted to highlight? The same kind of thing, same course?
Yeah, to touch on that. So again, because I had the opportunity to work with planograms in my previous role at Staples, I think it's very fun and exciting to see it again and to use it in the school setting and to be able to actually complete projects like that. Again, it's great on a resume, and companies love to see that you've actually been able to play with these types of softwares that they're actually using in the company.
Yeah.
And I'm completing a French minor here at Ryerson, so I'm also taking a few language courses as well. So I really like those this semester.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and there are a few different language options. French is probably the most popular one here, but yeah, there's some different opportunities to take minors and kind of specialize in some other areas in addition to your major in retail. I guess the last thing, and then we can move away from planograms, but one of the things that we just started this past year is introducing category management certification into our program. I don't think either of you have done the category management course yet. Usually it's an elective. Normally students do it in fourth year. We have a student who's in it right now who did her internship at Unilever last year. So if you think of consumer packaged goods and health and beauty care and all those kinds of products. And we were speaking about 2 weeks ago, and she said, "Oh my goodness, if I realized that I could have taken this course before going to that, all the things that would have helped me to engage with in different ways in that work experience would have been great." So that's those two kind of go hand in hand and are really category management's really kind of the buying side. In some companies, buyers are called category managers. If you're thinking general merchandise, food and grocery, packaged goods, office supplies, things like that. So certainly an interesting and very career relevant area. Tell us a little bit about when you were a first-year student. So when you were, a month or two ahead of where all of our participants are, what were some of your thoughts coming into the program? Was there a certain kind of career that you were thinking about? Were you just coming to look at a business degree and sort of figured out along the way? What did you think then versus maybe what some of your plans or ideas are now?
Well, for me, I was really interested in business, but I was also I liked the fashion side or that retail offered. But then once I got in first year, I saw that retail was much more than fashion, which really interested me as well. It kept me motivated in the program. When I first came into the program, I was interested in buying. And I think after my co-ops and internships, it just reinforced that in me because I worked with merchandise and analyzing it and just seeing the flow of it. So for me personally, I'm still very interested in it and I want to learn more about it.
And for me as well, definitely stepping in this program, I was always interested in fashion, business as well, and I thought this would be like the perfect in-between program for that. Kind of get a wide exposure to all these different industries. But after even stepping into the program, I learned that there's even so much more than I even thought was possible. Everything from supply chain roles, operations, analysts, planogrammers, buyers, the list goes on and on. But from the program, I've definitely realized from taking certain courses that I'm very passionate about retail research. After taking that special topics applied retail research course in second year, I learned how much I love studying consumer behavior. And again, that ties into retail as well, because companies need people to do these types of consumer behavior research to find out what are customers wanting to shop, how do they want to shop, and how to better cater that customer.
Right. And we have one of our fourth year courses actually has a customer journey mapping assignment where you're really looking at everything that the consumer sort of thinks about before they make a purchase and before they ever go online or before they come into a store, to all the things that happen after they make a purchase. If they're happy with the product, if they want to buy more of it or come back to the store to buy something else because they had a good experience, or if they had a bad experience, what sort of follow-up there was, if any, from the store, and really all sort of ties into different kinds of research related to consumers and how retailers can create better experiences. We talked about buying and category management, so I don't want to spend a ton of time doing that, continuing on that, but maybe just tell us a little bit about the TJX perspective and maybe explain a little bit to some of our listeners and viewers about how TJX and Winners and Marshalls and sort of the off-price world is a little different from traditional buying.
Mm-hmm. So for TJX, they own Winners, Marshalls, and HomeSense in Canada. So the way they do buying is from like a career perspective is you start as an allocation analyst. So you're not buying at that point, you're seeing how product performs in stores, and then you'll go to buying meetings and say, okay, this product doesn't work because these features or this price, and you figure out what attributes contributed to whether it was selling well or not. And then from there you can move into senior planning roles and then into buying. So I find the off-price model is different because they have so many different vendors. They're vendors that they're looking for different prices. They're looking for competitive prices. So it's not like a department store where they have a set of brands and like a certain image to maintain. Here at TJX, they are open to new brands, and they also have very trusted brands as well. So it's a lot about negotiating prices, but still making sure you hit your sales and making sure that the product is still up to par for the customer.
Great. All right. We could go in lots of different directions, but is there one thing that you would like to share with incoming students, either that they should think about when they're here in first year, or something that you're really looking forward to that maybe they're not thinking about yet?
For me, I guess something to remember is that it's obviously a learning experience. Like, I came in here thinking I want to do buying for sure, but I was open to other experiences and other jobs and career paths, and I still am. I'm still like looking at the different courses and what we can learn from that. So being open is something that I think is really important, especially in retail, because it's such a multifaceted industry and it's always changing. So just always being open to certain things and not just one specific role, but I think that'll really help.
Again, to tie into what you were saying, basically, especially if you are curious and you're not sure what you want to do, because there are so many different departments and different fields that you can approach and work into, co-op would definitely be an option that I would recommend. It's both something that we thought would be really good and a really good addition to figuring out what we exactly wanted to do. It's where you can truly apply what you're learning in class and to see, is this really what I want to do? And you can work with so many different companies and have so many different opportunities and feel that much more prepared when you leave and graduate this program, that you find what you actually want to do.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I don't know if are there any questions, Kaylee, that we should reply to?
None have been submitted, but I have a few that I'd like to pose.
Sure.
So I don't know, should I come and sit, or what do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sit?
Come on, squeeze in.
Okay. Squeeze in.
Oh, here.
No worries. No worries. We're good. We'll be a big happy family here. So I was just wondering, thinking about your experiences, you mentioned that you're from the GTA, right? The Greater Toronto Area. You're from a little up north, right? If you're not familiar with the Greater Toronto Area, Sudbury's about a 4-hour drive, right? North. So what was that moment that you were like, yes, I'm going to Ryerson? Tell us about that.
Actually, for me, it was very interesting. I figured out that I wanted to go to Ryerson. I think I was about grade 9, grade 10.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
So early. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So I was just researching schools and researching unique programs, and Ryerson just happened to come up. I obviously had no idea of the school because it wasn't near me. I didn't really know about it, but I remember looking at their website and being like, this school is directly downtown Toronto. There's so much action happening there. Their programs look amazing. Yep. This is where I want to go. And I followed through with that, and I'm here today.
Amazing. Did you apply to other programs at Ryerson as well, or just retail?
Just retail.
Excellent. So you honed in on retail, and you knew it was going to be retail. Fantastic. What about you?
Mine was the total opposite.
Really?
Because I'm from the GTA, I didn't want to go anywhere near here. Yeah. So I applied to all the schools like Macquarie, like all the schools where I could like stay there. Yeah. But then when I was in grade 12, I saw like the presentation for Ryerson, and I was reading the pamphlet and found the retail program, and I just like felt so passionate about it, and I knew that all the other programs that I applied to I wasn't that passionate about, and this was the program that I was excited about. So that's why I chose Ryerson.
I think that's important too, from my perspective, is you have to find that perfect match of academic program that you're looking for and lifestyle that you're looking for, right? You have to think about, is this something that I'm going to love going to class every day, right? If I'm doing my co-op placement, is this something that I'm going to love going to do, right? Because this could potentially be my career, right? This could be my career trajectory. This could be a lot of the rest of my life. So I think that's really important. We also have to think about lifestyle, right? You mentioned a few other schools that are in smaller towns in Ontario, and it's just a different experience. I'm not saying one is better. I'm not saying one is worse. I'm just saying it's a different experience, right? I mean, right now, the Ted Rogers School of Management, we're literally a couple of steps away from Yonge and Dundas Square, which I always tell students is the busiest intersection in the 4th largest city in North America. So, it's a bit of a different experience than being in a small town on a university campus that may be self-contained, right? We're really in the middle of the action. I think everyone would sort of agree with that. So it's really about, the academic program that you're looking for as well as the experience. And I always say that if you like big cities, you'll be right at home here. And if you're looking to just kind of broaden your horizons, maybe you're not from a big city right now and you'd love to experience that, we're a great option for that as well. So really fast, lightning round, dream company to work for.
Go first.
I don't know. Maybe HBC.
Okay. What does HBC stand for if we have non-Canadians in our audience?
Hudson's Bay Company.
Okay. So huge retailer that has what kind of products?
So it's a department store. So they have clothing. The one downtown has furniture. They have kitchenware. They have everything.
Nice. What about you?
I think my dream, I've still always kind of had an interest for entrepreneurship. So maybe either a startup or maybe hopefully creating something of my own one day.
And I think Ryerson's a good place for that, right? Absolutely. We have the #1 ranked digital media incubator, and based on a university campus in the entire world, which was pretty exciting, as well as a bunch of other zones in our zone learning programs. So
that's right. She said the world.
The world. Absolutely. Literally #1 in the world. So that's pretty exciting. We have our entire zone program. So you mentioned you're interested in fashion. We have a fashion zone. We have all of these different zones that are spaces that can help you develop your idea. So Ryerson is a great place for entrepreneurship. Of course, there's also a major in the Ted Rogers School of Management that focuses on entrepreneurship. So I'm sure you can dabble in some classes here and there, which is amazing. So you're in 3rd year. So tell us a little bit about the structure, right? You did your co-op terms, now you've got more classes, and it's going to take you 5 years total. Is that right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Co-op, yes or no?
Yes.
Excellent. That was pretty resounding. That was pretty resounding. What about you? Speaking from, seeing so many students go through co-op, what is really the benefit of doing co-op from like a staff and faculty perspective?
Well, co-ops fairly new at Ryerson, but we've always had an internship program, and they're similar but different. I would say in general, just the opportunity to get work experience, get immersed into a corporate culture, understand a little bit about whether the role is what you thought it was going to be when you thought, okay, I want to be a buyer. Is it what I thought? Or maybe it's what I thought, but I want to be in a different kind of retail sector. I want to be in apparel, or I want to be in grocery, or that sort of thing. And really kind of helping to sort of build experience, but B, kind of reaffirm the direction that you want to take in the future. So internships and co-ops aren't an end game. They're about the learning experience, like both of you mentioned, right? So so if they're bang on what you expected, or if they help you to say, you know what, I like this, but I want to shift it that way, then both of those are good outcomes.
Amazing. And you get to meet so many people too, right? It must be so helpful. Fantastic. I just see that a question has come in, so I'm just going to see who's asking our question here. Do you have to apply for the co-op option on the OUAC? So that's a great question. So do you apply for the co-op right when you apply to Ryerson? How does that happen?
We applied in second year, like through Ted Rogers. So I think you have the option to choose if you want to do it or not once you're already in the program.
Yeah, once you've had a bit of time, trust me, you will have faculty that will present it to you, and you'll be aware of all the dates and all the information, everything, all the steps that you have to follow.
For sure.
So the answer to that is no, you don't have to apply through OUAC. Once you're here in your first year, you can start to ask questions and think it through.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you have lots of support too to help you find a co-op placement and things like that. Great. And what was your interview process like for your co-op?
They were like a series of video interviews to get into co-op.
Okay.
So we had to submit a resume and cover letter, and then we were invited to do a video interview, and each video interview was different. So like some would ask like behavioral questions, someone asked like situational questions. I think one of the questions was like, if you were stuck in a blender, how would you get it?
And you had 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh. So
do?
really pushing your creativity.
Yeah.
I love that. Fantastic. So I hope that answered your question about the OUAC. So we answered that. What roles can someone get in logistics and supply chain with a retail business degree? So logistics and supply chain, what kind of career are you looking at in those fields? Maybe. What are we punching over to Sean here?
It depends. I mean, certainly things like some of the roles that come out of buying, planning kinds of silos, depending on the way that a retailer is set up, will have a very supply chain oriented focus. If you're thinking about the allocation aspect of things and sort of how you get products for a Vancouver market versus different products for a Toronto or a Montreal market and that sort of thing. There's I'd say on the distribution center side, there are probably different kinds of jobs. There are a few students that I'd say that would go into that, but probably more from a supply chain perspective, what our grads would do would be analyst type roles, looking at how you can create efficiencies, those kinds of things.
Awesome. That's helpful for me for sure, and hope that answered your question as well. So the last thing that I'm going to pose to our two students here is, why should a student who has received an offer to Ryerson University choose that offer and choose to come to Ryerson in the fall?
For this program specifically,
for this program?
I think it's just such a unique and niche program. You're not going to find anything like it. What I like about this program specifically as well is we're the smallest, retail is the smallest program in TRSM, but that allows you to make such a bigger connection, whether it be with your professors, whether it be with your classmates and industry leaders. I can actually go in my university class and speak to my professors. They actually know my name, and that makes a big difference in my learning experience, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think it just gives you such amazing opportunities that I know I wouldn't have gotten if I did choose those schools that were outside of Toronto, because you're near all the companies as well. And I would have never thought, like, going into, like, when I was in grade 12, when I was accepting this, that I would end up already having like 2 great experiences with huge companies in the retail industry when I decided to go into retail.
Absolutely. I agree. And if you haven't visited Toronto, I know that this is an aside, but we are located, the Ted Rogers School of Management is actually located above very large retail operations. Like, we're literally on top of them right now. What is it, Best Buy and Canadian Tire, right? We're literally on, like, as we speak to you, we're literally on top of Best Buy and Canadian Tire, which are two, I would say, from an uneducated perspective on retail, fairly large retailers in Canada. That's safe to say? Okay, good. Okay, so with that, if there's any more questions, definitely feel free to submit them, but I think we'll probably wrap up sort of the formal part. But I want to send, obviously, a huge thank you to Jacqueline, Mary, and Sean for joining us today. I hope you've learned something about the co-op program. I hope you feel confident in, the fact that the majority of you have received an offer at this time, which is huge, so congratulations. And we very, very much hope to see you on campus this September. keep in mind, you can always stay in touch with us if you have any questions. You can always follow the Ryerson social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. What's the other one? Snapchat, YouTube as well. There's also a blog, Ryerson, and I know that retail has its own social media, right?
Yes, TRSM Retail at most of those, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Those are probably the main ones that you want to look at.
Fantastic, absolutely. So keep in touch with us, and of course, we hope to see you on campus. You can always come to a campus tour. You can always reach out to us over email if you have questions about your application. You can contact our service hub, and just always make sure that you're keeping an eye both on your email as well as your Choose Ryerson applicant portal, because if there's anything you have to do in terms of submitting information or things like that, all of those communications will come to you through your Choose Ryerson applicant portal. So make sure you check that regularly, and then of course, once you're ready to accept that offer, you can do so on the OUAC. So for now, I think we're gonna maybe turn off the video, but we'll hang around for just a few minutes in case there's any last minute questions that we'd like to submit over text, and I'll make sure that we answer collaboratively so we get you the best answer possible. But huge thanks to everyone for joining us today. We hope you found this helpful, and if you'd like to refer back to this, remember that you'll get a copy of this recording over email to the email account that you used to sign up for the webinar through the Zoom platform. You'll get that tomorrow, so definitely check out. If you are celebrating Easter, happy Easter this weekend. If you're not, then I hope you have a wonderful weekend also. And we hope to see you soon on campus, and then definitely in the fall in September. Bye. Say bye. Sean next. Bye. Bye from everyone. Have a great day, everyone.